Now, I cannot begin to remember how to pronounce this woman's last name properly because I keep hearing it a bunch of different ways. I don't know if it's Immigrede, Immigrede, Immigrade. However, I have only listened to her podcast once when she had Tracy Ellis Ross on. And even on that episode, I very much enjoyed a lot of what Tracy Ellis Ross had to say. But even the name of the episode, had I not known to listen more, I would have been completely turned off by the name of the episode because that kind of like corporate speak does not align with me. And I can't even remember what it was, but it was giving very hashtag girl boss. That is not me. So a lot of people have issues with her recent interviews as she's, I think, promoting a book where she talks about these different strategies of how to get ahead in your career and that work from home is working against women, and the reason that we're not getting ahead is because of these different things. Now, again, this does not offend me because, to be quite honest with you, I am simply not that ambitious. I'm just not. When you provide, like in my full time job, working in support staff, seeing and providing the support to people who live to work, that is not me. I do not want that life. What I do for my full time work has absolutely nothing to do with who I am as a person. It's not part of my identity. It's just how I make money. It's just how I pay bills, right? There are some people across identities who want really badly to be in a C suite, who want really badly to be a leader of people. That is not me. She was not talking to me. So I didn't feel particularly offended by it, but it did make my ears perk up, the absence of what I heard her say. There is a lot of unacknowledged privilege that she was speaking with, where, yeah, you can do a lot of the things that she's talking about doing if you have her net worth, like off rip. Like if you have staff to provide support, if you have an extremely wealthy husband who has connected you to these other things, if you are biracial, if you have a very charming accent, there's a lot at play that has helped her that she's not acknowledging in the advice that she's giving to other women about how to get ahead in the workplace. And that's not to say that because of those things she doesn't also work hard. And that's part of the nuance of privilege, whatever it may be. People seem to think that by saying that a person has privilege, it means that they are not also hardworking. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that when you get on a platform and you are speaking to women, and by virtue of you being a biracial woman, people think that you're especially speaking to black women, right? It is intellectually dishonest for you to not acknowledge every part of how you have arrived at this place. And this is something that I used to find frustrating about all those like women's empowerment brunches where you would have all these big influencers who made all this money talking to young women, young girls about how to get ahead, and they conveniently left out how they got that startup capital, or they had like a joke of a story of how they got their startup. You cannot tell people that they should do X, Y, and Z if you're not telling them that the reason X, Y, and Z worked for you is because you had these certain things that you were aligning with patriarchy. And even in a lot of what she's saying, it's not to rebuild or to redo, right? Or to come into these spaces and say there's another way to be. You're telling women how to assimilate, how to become like their male counterparts who have made work life so incredibly difficult and so incredibly unmanageable for so many women of color. And I do think that that's intellectually dishonest, but I also know that lady is not talking to me. I do not live to work. I am not that ambitious. I know how much money I desire to make per year and in my lifetime, and it don't require that. It doesn't require being that kind of person. I'm not willing to be that kind of person in order to have a sustainable life. So that shit don't apply to me, no way. But for the women who do and who have chosen to become mothers and who do have these different variables of what makes what she's describing almost undoable, I just think that she's being intellectually dishonest. And I don't know if it's a lack of awareness, because I do believe that like black people from the UK have a completely different understanding of race than what we have in America. So I don't even know that she has the knowledge or the context to even be speaking to us about what we should be doing. But again, that lady ain't talking to me because I'm not that ambitious.